A very warm welcome to Tea Time. I'm Narendra here from the Unitech Golf and Country Club in Noida. Now, it's very rare to have a woman with me on the show teeing off on the greens. And today I've got a dynamic entrepreneur, a woman of substance, Ratna Chadha, who will be discussing the cruising industry in much detail on the show today.
On the show this week, we have Ratna Chadha, Chief Executive, Tirun Travel Marketing, exclusive India representative of Royal Caribbean Cruises.
We have such a vast coastline and unexplored coastline, and there is so much that the country has to offer. So it could well become a hub, a cruise hub.
In news, Hunter Mahan wins US PGA Barclays title. And Jamie Donaldson wins Czech Masters and secures a spot on the European Ryder Cup team.
Welcome to the show, Ratna. Lovely to have you on the show.
Pleasure is mine entirely. Thank you so much.
You know, it's very rare that I have women teeing off with me on the show, and you're one of the few women that have really made their way on Tea Time. So quite excited to play this round with you, of course. And you've been involved with golf. Don't you feel that you're an odd man out per se in the sport which is dominated by men?
Well, not really, not so much now, because there are more and more women who are taking to this sport.
Right.
And I can understand why. My husband was on my case for many years to start playing so that we could play together, but I never thought that this was for me. But now that I've taken to it, and a little late in the day, I think it's for anybody who wants to relax and can, wants to spend time with oneself.
Fantastic. Now let's talk about the market that you are into right now as a woman entrepreneur. You're heading Royal Caribbean Cruises now. In India, there are about 15 million thereabout outbound travel passengers. The cruising market accounts for less than 1% of this figure, and it is growing at about 10 to 12% thereabouts annually as well. How much of a nascent stage are we in, and how much of a large untapped potential exists as far as this market is concerned?
Let's put it into two different perspectives. When we started representing Royal Caribbean, which was in 1993, the cruise industry was completely, well, I'd say that it was unknown. And there were very, very few people who had traveled with an Indian address on the cruises. We brought in the concept, we pioneered the concept of cruising with Royal Caribbean International in the Indian marketplace, and have brought it to a level now where at least there is some awareness.
Right.
So, to say that we've come up to this level from scratch is a huge feat anyway. However, having said that, the potential is there, and there is tremendous potential because our country is so vast. And our aim at Tirun Travel Marketing, which is the representative organization for Royal Caribbean, is to allow people of various aspirational levels to experience the world differently.
Right.
Like I say, that aspirations are not the prerogative only of a few.
Right.
And our aim here is to try and permeate and penetrate the market to that extent that as many people as there are who with that aspiration should be able to experience the world differently. And as far as that is taking that potential into account, I think we haven't even scratched the tip of the iceberg.
Well, let's tee off on that note and we continue discussing. Well, so we were discussing about the global passengers. Now, CLIA's report clearly says that about 21 million passengers are traveling on cruises globally. Now, obviously, there is a market which is established in the other parts of the world, but India still remains very nascent. What is the global market like, and why is it that India is so far behind as far as the numbers are concerned?
Well, to put it in perspective, India started late. These companies that we are talking about, the cruise lines, because they are US centric. They are based in their home port, and it allows passengers from their country, therefore, just to drive, and maybe it's very easy, it's accessible to those people.
Right.
Therefore, the numbers are far greater there.
Right.
But India is getting there, as you've seen, as I've just mentioned, that we have from a zero base come to at least some point of creating awareness. Even creating an awareness is like having the passengers on board, because unless you have the awareness, people are not going to know where to go.
An uphill task for you.
It was like looking for a needle in a haystack. I mean, it was, you know, to put it very succinctly,
right.
Because we didn't know where to begin.
So what was the strategy like? How did you manage to get those many people on board?
What happened was that it was multi-pronged. When we started in 1993, if you remember, the government would allow $500 as BTQ, which was your allowance for travel abroad, once in 2 years. And $500 didn't fetch you anything. And at that point, people used to travel abroad and therefore go and stay with friends and family, because they didn't have the money
that period,
to spend.
Yeah.
And here we were trying to bring a product in, or an experience in the marketplace, where we said, pay us in advance, which India didn't know until then, because everything was on credit.
Yeah.
And B, pay us in dollars.
Correct.
So it was a huge task for us to get the government to agree that cruise is just as much a passage as an airline or any other means of transportation.
Sure.
So when a passenger is traveling by air and is allowed to pay in rupees, in Indian rupees, why can't you allow the Indian passenger to do, cruise passengers to do the same?
Sure.
So the government, the Reserve Bank of India at that point was very, very open to the suggestion. They went through their policies, they changed the policies. And when we got permission to collect money in Indian rupees, there was no bank at that stage to with the ability to change that into dollars and then repatriate the money to our principals. It took us about 6 to 7 months to get a bank to accept this new regime. Then we started sourcing our passengers, and really it started with word of mouth, which today is our biggest propagator.
Needless to say, the Indian consumer may not be that discerning when it comes to cruising, isn't it? And how open are they to trying out newer destinations and far more offbeat destinations than the run-of-the-mill ones that are being promoted to outbound travelers here?
I'd say that the a particular segment of the Indian travelers are very discerning. They know what they want. Today you've got the technology in your bedroom. You've got internet that you can, and most of them are very tech savvy. India is one of the largest tech savvy countries.
If they are discerning, then what is it that's
there
stopping
are challenges. There is a mental barrier. People feel that if they go, they don't understand that the cruise ships these days, and especially the Royal Caribbean cruise ships, as we are featuring more and more activity on board, are made as a passenger liner, not as a passage liner. And the difference is that during the Titanic age, there were cruise ships that would ferry people from one port to the other. Now these ships, the cruise ships that are being deployed these days, are basically resorts, floating resorts. That mindset has not changed for some of us. And that probably is due to the awareness levels. So the challenges are, what
Which
will
means
I do?
That they are not discerning at the moment.
Certain segment,
right,
and I would say, by and large, the majority segment, you know, they come up with things like, what will I do on a cruise ship? I'll get claustrophobic. Where will my children eat if they want to eat in the middle of the night? What if I want food and the restaurants are shut? Then where will I go?
What if there's a medical
emergency? What happens if I get seasick? You know, these kind of challenges. We are trying to create the awareness now as Royal Caribbean International, to say that these are resorts, just like you don't feel your resort moving unless there's an earthquake, God forbid. You don't even know that you're sailing, because the ships fly at 24 knots an hour, which is really slow. The whole idea is to allow passengers to experience the onboard and offshore facilities. So when you're at a port in the morning, through the day you explore that destination, come back on the ship, and then the ship activities come alive. And some of our new ships have got facilities that even resorts do not offer today. I mean, we've got the new one that's the maiden voyage, which will be in November this year. She's got a capsule that takes you about 260 degrees above sea level, so you can see the cosmos, you can stargaze, you can see the horizon. And once you have the activities, and because we are dealing with multi-generations, the choice is really the customers, the passengers.
Sure, but there's also a price point to keep in mind when you're offering so many services in a resort-like atmosphere. Is it conducive or affordable for the normal Indian who makes a trip abroad once a year to be able to afford the price points of a floating resort really?
The first point is that a cruise holiday is a packaged holiday. It's completely encompasses most of your expenses on board. So therefore it offers you value in comparison to any land-based holiday.
Okay.
That's the first point. The second point is that by adding all of these facilities, we are not increasing the price points. What we are being able to do, and very cleverly, it's a revenue management tactic that most people follow in the service industry, is that it allows us to offer value where the major chunk of our inventory lies, which is in the staterooms, let's say, with enhanced views.
Right.
And by doing that, we are offering value to most of our customers and allowing them to upgrade themselves to a better experience. And the other aspect is that by bringing in ships of this stature, the demand just increases.
Obviously.
So you're offsetting the price point at some point. And we are very, very cautious of the fact that because it's let's say, a relatively new product or an experience, you can't outprice yourself. For example, somebody who's traveling from India to, let's say, Singapore is not going to go beyond a certain price point level because they don't see value. So we bring in the value in terms of both the price as well, the all-encompassing price and the facilities. So you're not paying anything extra for.
So let me play a chip shot and we continue our conversation. Theme cruising is something which is picked on in the West quite a bit. What is the kind of market in India as far as theme cruising is concerned?
We've got to make the themes relevant to our people.
What are these kind of themes that we can work
I mean, like for example, in the West, they'll do a jazz festival on board, or they do a cookout, by some celebrity chef or Michelin chef, and such like. So we have themes that we do, Bollywood themes. Some cruise lines are doing that. What we are doing for Royal Caribbean and for Celebrity, which is our the premium product, we've got themes as well where we've got wine tasting that takes place. We've got themes that, like you're saying, the jazz festival, like I was alluding to earlier. We are trying to see if we can do some Indian classical music on board, where music lovers can go on board and listen to their favorite, maestros. A couple of years ago, when the World Cup took place in the Caribbean, there was a ship charter. We chartered a ship out, and Indians went on board, and they actually watched their favorite games while staying on the ship, and yet moving to the next destination. So your hotel costs and all of that are cut down, and yet you enjoy the ship facilities as well. And what we are planning to do is maybe, whenever the next time this happens, we'll take a sports a cricketer, an expert on board, and have your...
You even mentioned to me offline about how you want to set up a camp as far as golfers were concerned.
That's right.
On your cruises as well.
Right.
Welcome back to Tea Time, and where we left off really was having a golf camp on one of your cruises as well. How do you plan to do that?
Well, we are planning to start small and start with kids,
Right.
because we find that they are really enthusiastic about and passionate about the game. We thought that we would take a couple of kids and hold a camp on board our ship, the Mariner of the Seas, which is the largest in Asia, based out of Singapore. So it would be closer home during the holiday period when parents can accompany their children, so they'll get an opportunity to play in Singapore on the one of the beautiful courses there, and then on board the ship we'll just, because we have the facility which is only a putting green, really a 9-hole putting green, maybe we can do a camp there with the coach can maybe teach them something, some new
Very
techniques.
interesting. Now, what are you doing to change the perception about cruising in India? Of course, it has been for years in India perceived to be something that the newlyweds went to, or the people who are retired really took on to cruises, or it was something which is meant to be for the older age groups, and of course very luxurious and very expensive at the same time. Are you doing anything to break that perception?
Yeah, the famous cliche was that cruising was for newlyweds and half dead.
Right.
And we, I think, have captured the essence that that this is not true.
Right.
And we've obviously that is borne by the fact that more and more people are now getting to be aware of the experience and are wanting to experience it. In fact, as we speak, the Royal Caribbean International, which is a brand, which is a contemporary brand, is for families and younger median age of people. So we have young cruisers starting from, let's say, the median age of about 20, 25 up to 35, who are looking for fun, who are looking for adventure. They want to let their hair down, they want as many facilities, but they may not indulge in everything, that's their choice. But as the ships are coming in with newer facilities, we are being able to attract the younger median age of people on this brand.
Does India today have the potential to become the hottest new cruise destination? Of course, with the right kind of support coming in from the government. Do you think that's a possibility? Because we're surrounded by water.
3/4 of the world is surrounded with water.
That's true.
So if you haven't cruised, you haven't seen the world. So that's what I keep telling everyone.
Right.
And why not? Of course, India is part of that syndrome.
Right.
When we, like I said, that we have such a vast coastline and unexplored coastline, and there is so much that the country has to offer. Yeah. So it could well become a hub, a cruise hub, sooner than later.
But like you have something like a Marina Bay in Singapore, which is one of the state-of-the-art ports in the world that you can come across. Why is it that we don't have something of that nature? Why is it that none of the cruise liners here are proactively in a dialogue with the port owners to make these into state-of-the-art ports per se?
The Marina Bay is a different segment, again, that's for more smaller boats and for yachts.
Right.
What we would need as service providers for, since our largest cruise weighs 220,000 gross ton,
right,
which is the largest in the world today, you need an airport-like structure. So we are not talking bays here, we are not talking small change, we are talking, we need big bucks.
Correct.
And it's like 5 jumbo loads embarking and debarking together. That's the kind of facility we need. And as I said, that you don't really need to build it. You can manufacture it or structure it in such a form and manner that it is conducive and accessible.
That, of course.
Yeah.
But what is your take on the current state of the ports in this country today?
I think they were only built for cargo vessels.
Just for business, isn't
Yeah,
it?
just for
Not
business.
for leisure.
That's right. And somebody within the system now needs to take a look and review the situation and say, do we want passenger cruise liners in instead of the cargo, or do we need both to add to the revenue? Because remember, the passengers who are coming in also have a multiplier effect on your economy.
Right.
And tremendous.
Right.
So it's like any other industry, like the hotel industry or any other service industry, where they are bringing in the foreign exchange, they are giving you, there is employment created, your infrastructure is used, your country is showcased, and people want to come and experience incredible India. So
Sure.
Why not allow them to do it by the sea route? But I think, like I said, there are issues that need to be sorted out at the at various levels before we can get there.
Well, coming back to golf now, you are somebody who loves your luxury, whether it's cruising or whether it is golfing. How much of time do you get to really pursue this game?
A great man said that time is the only perishable commodity.
Right.
Money you can lose and get back.
Get back. Time you can't get back.
Time, once it's gone, it's over.
Right.
So anybody who, and especially people who are in this in the business for their business sake, of course, need to concentrate on what they are doing. But one has to find the time for finer things in life. And if you don't find the time to do things that you love to do, that give you some pleasure, or that you want to patronize, then I think it's the individual to blame, and that person is losing out on life.
Sure.
So in order to make life larger, I decided this maybe a little late in the day, but I've started taking time out for things that I'm passionate about, and golf is one of them.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
So what is it about golf really that keeps you going even at this age?
You know, golf, fortunately, is not for the newlyweds and half-deads. It's getting to be a game which is, again, spread across various segments. I mean, when you see little kids playing, one wonders why didn't one start on this earlier. Yeah, and it's something that you play with yourself. There is no competitiveness in that sense of the word. It gives you time to think. It gives you time to, think about various aspects of whatever it is that you want to think about. It gives you the relaxation after a hard day's work. It gives, allows your mind to relax and use it maybe differently in a different space. So it just, if you take to it, it's like fish taking to water.
And what about women golfers today? I mean, you see them few and far between, but they are emerging a lot today in this country. Are there any particular women that you are very fond of and think would be the future of the country?
I'm sure there are plenty, it's just that I can't really at the top of my head give you a few names, but I see them at the Delhi Golf Club all the time, and they are professionals in what they do. They are coaching little children. So much of their time is spent on the greens and actually bringing up the budding golfers, and selflessly, I mean, of course they are passionate about the game, but the aspect that they are looking after, or they are grooming little kids, is, I think, something that's really, it goes in, it's kudos to them, because they've brought their passion onto their profession and are actually doing such a great job. All right. Hopefully we'll get to be good golfers one day.
You already are. Well, thank you so much on that note for joining me on TeeTime. It was lovely having you on the show.
Thank you very much for your time. Thank you. And I enjoyed being here. Thank you.
With that, it's a wrap from me, Chaiti Narula, and Ratna Chadha, of course. I will see you next week again. Until then, enjoy the flight of a good drive. Take care.